Oh, hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? So good to see everyone. It is Tuesday, and if you are here, then you are definitely in the right place. So you have fulfilled your destiny for the moment. So give yourself a big high five, pat on the back. We say high five. And I'll speak for myself and the ladies. We speak favor over us all in this day and age. Woo! I'm telling you, brother and sister, we've
Yeah.
got to have the favor because I know personally in my life here lately, ladies, I would hate to imagine if I didn't have favor. Holy crap. Anyway, we just send love to you and favor. And as we always end it, nothing missing, nothing broken. So, hello, everybody. Hello, my lovely co hosts, Miss Trina and Miss Jenny. So, ladies, how are y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Cool.
Yeah, good, good. Working hard. Good.
Working hard, working for a living. Didn't Huey Lewis and the News do that song? Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I think they
Working
did.
for a living.
Anyway, well, hello everyone in the chat room. All you beautiful spirit beings. Lauren, hey, ladies, I want to do real quick. So, Ginger Grin is what you know her as. We know her as Lauren. So, give me 1 second because I love promoting the family here, and we are family. That's all I got to say. Uh-huh, that's it. So Lauren has her YouTube channel. There it is right there, Ginger Grin, at Ginger Grin 8. She has 157 subscribers, so let's jack that up by several hundred, and 188 videos. Lauren, uh,
Nice.
y'all really
Well,
should get to know, and when we have the channels, it's like Nina, Robert, and so many others. I think of Raised by Giants. Can't even now remember our brother's name, but that happens. Uh, just to get to know everybody, Writer League. There we go. So I went through a number of her videos, and it's just beautiful. So. Ginger, Lauren, we thank you on your talents, and she's going to be doing more audio videos. Am I right on that? I think y'all can look in the chat room. Anyway, there you go. I just wanted to throw that. And one last little housekeeping. Judith Koba, she has her, we did an interview. She interviewed me, and it is now up and running, ladies. So
Excellent.
there you go. So how
Yeah.
are y'all? How's your week been?
just
We
Good.
good
didn't
on
meet last week because I was literally in bandages, but hey,
banged up.
what I say? Yeah.
Look at you go.
Here I am to save the day. Anyway,
You're doing
You're
amazing.
healing fast, Wayne. You're healing
well, I
fast.
gotta tell you, I just give thanks. I love this body. Geez. Yeah, I was thinking I was out mowing and if you had the question asked, when you pass, because we all will, what will be the one thing that you were most thankful for in your life experience?
My body's tenacity. You're right. That's one thing I would be so grateful for. My body's ability to be fantastic and tenactic about not giving up, and working through and healing and liberating. And definitely, I would give thanks to my body.
Yeah.
So,
I think
Trina, what would
I
be your
think
one thing that you would be most thankful for that you had, that you learned, you experienced in this rendition of your existence? Because it's just one of many. And by the way,
yeah.
it's pretty far out to be able to share y'all's existence with my existence and everybody else's existence. What a what a,
Yeah,
what a what a net we're building. But
it
what would
is.
that be, Trina?
I think for me, it would be the ability as a child to remember my spiritual existence. because it put me on a different path than many, and that's been a struggle. But, the greatest challenge and the greatest rewards, because it made me always anchor into there's more to me than just this world. And I had a strong knowing that that was foundational, that this somehow wasn't right. And it was I just always knew from the time I was little, something was not right. So with that awareness, I think that was the most important part of this incarnation at this time for me, was to anchor really strongly to what we cannot see in my own world. So my spiritual practices, I think, was the
Sure.
biggest gift.
So you want to know what mine is?
What?
Sex. I'm
Yeah.
fucking
Oh,
glad I got to experience sex. I don't care what
yes.
anyone says. I can get, but this is just me. So I'm riding on my riding lawnmower and I'm looking at everything, pulling out the data files and, you start making your first top 10 list, then you cut it down. And it finally came down to two. One was music. Uh, but I had to say, it was sex. I mean, that is just, it's carnal, it's very, well, it's very,
It's
whatever,
carnal
but
and spiritual, isn't it?
it
Because
isn't. I mean, sex is a spiritual experience, isn't it?
some of
Well,
my
it's what you make of it.
I
yeah,
think it's not just the body, but that the
no,
spirit is connected and if the soul is real. I
and
mean,
the
my
oil.
soul has gone, thank you, brother, man. Thank you. Anyway.
Not appropriate.
Yes.
Hey, there's Theo. How you doing, brother?
Just saying, I'll quickly go out.
Good to see ya. How y'all doing, my man?
How are you doing? Good? Yeah. Good? Yeah. Go
Good.
on then.
You're looking exceptionally well.
I haven't showered in 9 years.
Well,
He
then you
wants
be well seasoned, my little
he's
man.
oiled. He's oiled.
Yeah.
Well oiled.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I know but that's really what I came down to.
It is
So
spiritual and
Scotty Boy
physical.
says sex and magic go hand in hand. And in a sense, I mean, sex is spirituality. I
Sex
mean,
is magic. I mean, it makes babies. Hello.
if
Yeah.
How
they
much
can
more
have
evidence do
aliens
you
come
need?
in, whether you want to call them angels, whatever you want to call them, and
Yeah.
they were like really into the sex thing, and they were like more spiritual beings.
Alchemy. It's alchemy. It's an
It is
alchemy.
alchemy. Thank you.
Oils,
Yeah.
serums, sebums, a collective alchemy of physical things. And then there's the spiritual electromagnetic field mixing and those molecules bouncing off each other. So it
Mhm.
comes down to an atom level, right the way up and back down again. When you're with the right person, especially, it's a transcendent experience.
Red Herring
Create
says Wayne
universes.
obviously never had a peak ecstasy trip.
Do your breath work
I've
while you're
had
at
many trips,
I was just saying, I don't know
never
about
left the
that.
house, just never anyway. But
Mhm.
so I thought, in line with kind of what I think is happening to us, and us as anyone who's listening, and I got some very interesting emails where demons are concerned, particularly with humanity. It seems like I got one particular one that was from South Africa. Thank you for the email, brother. There is something going on. So,
Yeah.
who would you say are humans in control? That's the question of
Yes.
world affairs. And I think you could extrapolate from that as well is if we have dominance in one plane, would we not have a presence in another?
No, I think not.
Think not.
I
Okay,
think
interesting. Good.
it's the same answer as Trina. Absolutely. I've always said it that the humans are creating this shit show. And whatever scope of human or spectrum of human there might be, coupled with the consciousness is debatable, but say in these bodies that look human, humans are in control of causing this shit show. But at the same time, I don't think the same consciousness that has the power over this realm, I don't recognize it in other realms as a powerful force. I
Yes.
feel like here is the only power that they have that. Now, I don't feel that with other beings. I feel other beings have layers of powerfulness in between the dimensions. But as far as these people that are in control here, I feel they desperately try and create the alchemy to stay in within the family lines, literally bloodlines, is very important to them because I don't think they've got much scope outside of that. Somehow their bloodline and consciousness has been able to infect and effect a lot of people via a few systems that they've built. But as far as that having power in other spaces, especially in other spaces while our bodies are here and our spirits are high and of a full inner standing and knowing of self, they actually don't have power in that sphere either. When we raise ourselves above their power structures and see what they're doing and recognize them, they don't have power over us in that spiritual space, even just from us point of view. So I don't see it and I don't recognize it the same way as I do other beings that seem to be able to dip. This consciousness that is in control right now is stuck here. I feel I just do
So
very strong.
I'm not clear what I'm hearing, but I guess help me out. So who's in control? Are the humans behind the actions? Are humans the originator of the thought? And everything that we call evil, everything that another human does to another human, is it simply human?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The power structure here is humans affecting other humans through magic of headlines, clickbait, the flashing of a screen, all of the subconscious messaging. It's humans
So that's
infecting
human
humans.
control. That's guess what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
100%.
And we can't always forget too the fear card.
That's
Most
it.
time humans do bad things to each others because they're being told to by their overlords, and they're doing what they're being told to out of fear of not complying to these forces that will harm
Is that
other humans.
human or is that
I don't
non-human?
it's a dance because we do have a primal aspect that keeps us to be alive. So they've used that against us through control measures. So it's kind of tricky because in one
Yeah,
aspect,
are
like
you
Glenn
saying
said,
they again, is they human or is that
I don't
non-human?
think so. I don't think
Cool,
so.
cool. And it's that great question, that we all have to. I mean, what I love about this group and this family is that we come in and we question even what we question.
Yeah, and
And
what if some of them were human, but they've been taken over by an entity,
Yeah,
which
see
now
that,
you
see
know
that.
there I see that too.
so that opens the door to, so we're
Demons.
into these physical bodies, right?
There's a
Yeah.
And we think that we are in control of our bodies because we are the primary source of thought. But religion, theology, and even to a degree, philosophy says, well, that's not the case, that there are spirit beings that are not human that in fact can move into the same body that a human spirit has possession of, or what we call us.
yeah, the can passenger as well.
So then that goes back to our first point, is that then is it really humans who are running this? Because the question that comes up in my mind is then why do we seek power? Why are there those who power is a an aphrodisiac of such a nature that it overrules all the senses. A human senses power or experiences the perception of power over people, like people in politics, people in industry, etc. You reach a certain level, particularly wealth, and wealth is the measure by which then allows you to have some of this power. And once you have this power, you don't want to release it.
And
That's
that
just what's happening right now, I think. I
that
really do.
opens you up to more possession, I feel, don't you, Trina? If you get eaten up with power and greed, there's only so much power any battery, including us, can hold on to. So if we're holding on to excess power, we're going to start seeping battery fluid on the interior and exterior of the car, which is the body, the spirit, the mind. That would make more sense as well as to how these people do have passengers that come on board or can infect and take over, like we see some parasites doing to insects and whatnot, and to us. So if parasites can do it, then other beings can do it, that they can passenger alongside, especially if they're being opened up by power harnessing and too much of that, not letting it flow out, not letting it be redistributed, would cause them to be eaten up and create that space in the consciousness much more easily than, say, Trina, you, or anybody in the
I was
in
in a group that, as I have mentioned here, was a very, it was a select group, I'll put it that way. And it cost a lot of money to get into this group. And then you had to, even if you had the money, you went through this extensive vetting process. And if and only then that you go through the vetting process, and then it's really put up to a vote on this inner circle. So if you are approved, they'll let you come in. And then if you got the energy that flows with the thought and the idea, then you get into the inner circle. And the point is that I at a point in my life where Lynn and we were very active with senators, congressmen, governors, met with a number of governors on economic policy. And it dawned on me very quickly that, for instance, if you are having a conversation at dinner and you're sitting right next to a sitting senator, you become very much aware of the power that this
Frequency.
is. Yeah, and it's very, as I
Yeah.
look back now, I wasn't nearly awake as I am now. I was well on my path. But as I look back now, I can easily begin to see there is a tangibility to this unseen power, and it draws those who feed off the power. I think, Jenny, it's right. It's a parasitic almost type of relationship.
It's vampiric. Yeah, it's a feeding of
Yeah.
energy. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm convinced that I met a lot of individuals that were in fact possessed of a spirit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it was demonic, but I can tell you there was more than one person occupying the penthouse.
Yes.
it'll work really hard, won't it, Trina? To Because then that dance, like Trina says, begins. So it feels great being the powerful one. It feels great being the star. But then all of a sudden, you have to be that label all of the time to everyone that is around you, 100%, never off from that label. So when you even try to reach a higher consciousness, those very people who cheer you on and want your power will pull you back down to that power space that they're comfortable with you in. And so you end up knowing that if you don't maintain that excess power, you're going to sink into a pit of snakes that have held you up all this time, but are quite willing to eat you as soon as you reject the power that they see as beautiful or attractive or worthy or, prosperous. So Trina's right. It's a real dance, and they haven't got it all at all, because they get into a much more deadly dance as well in that place of power. Because if they do drop down or decide to level up another consciousness or two, like you did on that journey that you were on, then you've all had it done to you, where the people who coveted you and praised you and lifted you up will quite happily eat you up if you're not willing to do the work to maintain that power that they want to feed from.
And I've seen it in so many. I mean, I look back, I mean, when in my days in NASCAR, I knew Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Davey Allison was a client of ours,
Mhm.
and he tragically passed over and crashing his own helicopter. But I look back, and even in my early days working with Concerts West, uh, met Alice Cooper. And he was a very interesting, and particularly with rock stars, that is a level of power and intensity of a whole different nature than the politics side of it. And it's quite and if you look at rock history, you look back on the tragedies of so many uh young men and women who succumbed to it, they couldn't handle it. I think of Keith Moon, the drummer with the Who, just died basically in his own vomit and just couldn't handle that intensity. And then that brings that question. So what drives that? Because we all, I mean, back in the day, it was, concerts were really where it was at, So it was like the social, initiation, But anyway, and I often wonder, so I said, is that just human or is there something else, a different spirit?
It's something else because the things that they're connecting to are of spiritual origin. It's all in the music, Stairway to Heaven, Pink Floyd. They were doing some heavy esoteric stuff. Black
Oh yeah,
Sabbath.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you think
So,
about Jimmy Page, I mean,
yeah.
Jimmy is a bona fide wizard. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, he
Yeah.
was into the occult when most of us were just trying to we had no freaking idea that the sigils that was being in displayed on their albums,
Right.
what they was really doing. It was just it was
But see,
a portable. It
that
was
was
a portal.
culture. Yeah, it was culture's introduction to the occult. They just didn't
Yeah.
know. They
Yeah.
didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
the early Led
we've been,
Zeppelin,
yeah,
their album was, that that type of rock, and that was acid rock. I
yeah,
mean, but it was spiritual, man. It just,
very spiritual. Very,
ooh,
and even like Styx, and there's so many artists that had profound Rush. I mean, the lyrics of Rush, it's unbelievable. These people were telling you what the esoteric and occult things that were they were experiencing in their reality. They knew of the black sun, they knew of these entities, they knew of these powers, and they were utilizing them, and in exchange for power and control and money. So they were the first introduction to us to be able to see how this was the foundation of how we're going to influence societies and condition the public through the most powerful tools of media and music.
well, you think about that, and I did a video like 8 years ago, but my point is, you're absolutely right, Trina.
Yeah.
When you look at us as a species, up until the point where electricity was finally harnessed, when mankind became the demigod of electricity, he began to control it. Electricity began to serve him. Now, I believe electricity is controlled by other spirits in the ethereal realm as well. So here we come in. And then you think about rock and roll. You think about once music was put to an electric harmony, like a string, is now amplified. You think about this from a spirit perspective. Now you were these spirits waiting because you're about to introduce a whole different level for humanity where masses of humans come together because of the music, the vibration, the harmony, and it opens the spiritual door that most people are not even aware of.
You, I think it goes both ways, doesn't it? Because we've spoke about those layers of technology and harnessing of electricity and wires and things.
You
Haven't
Well,
know,
it's like
we?
Van
lately,
Morrison. Van Morrison said, and John Lennon was as well. Paul McCartney. they said that their music, when they would play it, that when they were resting, that they would actually hear a song
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what's to
I
say that's
mean,
not just their spirit, though?
yeah, I mean, okay, did someone drop that in? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so
Uh,
funny. Well, there's this thing that somebody was reporting about. Michael Jackson woke everybody up at 3 o'clock in the morning. They said, "You have to get here now." And they were like, "It's 3 in the morning." He's like, "No, you don't understand. If we don't record this now, Prince is going to get it." Like he even knew the artist that was going to get his song. He knew. So yeah, this is like a real thing apparently. So
It's
yeah,
like the old days of the telephone. You had a party line. If you lived in the rural area, you couldn't get a single line, but you can get a party.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, if we don't do it now, Prince is going to get it. Yeah,
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 this
yeah,
just got dropped from the consciousness, and a
yeah.
bunch of us got it at the same time. But the one who gets it recorded first wins. So
But
this,
yeah.
yeah,
technology is like that. You know, when
yeah,
I designed the first mobile giving app for nonprofits,
yeah,
um, I was I was in a trance. I mean,
yes,
for 3 days, I didn't leave my office,
yeah.
and I didn't shower. I was I saw these schematics, and I had to get it out of my freaking head.
That's so awesome. I love when that's what happens to me a lot. I have to write it down, or it will not leave my head. It's like,
Yeah.
no, this needs
And
to be
if
written
you
down.
leave it out there,
Uh-huh.
someone's going to pick up on it. And then it will
Do.
become their
Absolutely.
idea,
It's
and you'll
also, I think it's also a confirmation through the matrix that we actually got the information and that we're seeing it correctly. And I think actually sometimes they make us write down so they can validate if we got it right.
then it gets to them who they is, and it comes back into, as we said, so a human body can be possessed by multiple spirits, it would appear.
We have devices built into our organic technology of our bodies that are literally connected to certain aspects of consciousness in the solar system, one being the moon, one being the sun. We are so connected to so many things that we just don't fully understand yet. It's big. It's
It's
very,
like
very
the
big.
internet. I'm not convinced humanity was behind the internet. I think it was brought in by an alien spirit.
Yes, and
Let's
it was
call it that way.
it was the Ethernet, the spooky business that no that yeah, that's what that
Yeah.
is, the
It went
Ethernet.
from ARPANET, and if you study what
Yes,
ARPA is, and then
yes.
you get into the Ethernet, and it's alchemy, as you were pointing out, Jenny. This is high level magic shit
And
because
CERN's a high level magic facility.
oh
They're
man,
smashing particles,
don't even get
opening
started with
portals.
CERN. I mean,
Well,
there
that's what started the internet. It actually started at CERN. Most people
no.
don't know that, but its origins came out of CERN. Yes. So don't you think maybe an alien brought
Well,
him a
then we're
computer
living
and
two
said,
different
"Here you go."
realities because the internet was before CERN.
Oh, see, I just saw a huge documentary and they were talking about the advancements of CERN and that CERN was the
No, the
actual
internet was
inventor of
by
the internet.
a group
Yeah.
of computer scientists in Nebraska
I
who
wonder
were
if that's a
working.
Mandela effect.
It has to be because I'm telling you, this is how I was in the industry.
Yeah.
And it was between two schools that were discovering that they could send limited binary alpha coding to one another.
Hmm.
And then they got grant money, technology came in, and some would
Definitely.
say
Yeah.
DARPA,
Mhm.
and it was
Mhm.
through that it expanded to the Ethernet. When
Yes.
we integrated the first pay at the table solution to an enterprise platform, we only could use, get this, they were Ethernet based credit card machines. And it's so interesting what we planned in
Mhm.
the Ethernet. And from the Ethernet came out to the World Wide Web, which became the Internet.
See, and
Internet.
that's how everything is built, Wayne. You just described creation in essence on this material realm.
Yeah.
You literally just described how it's done. That's
Yeah. I
brilliant.
mean, and again, from personal experience, I was back in 98 in some of the conferences, and there wasn't Amazon. There wasn't any. There was eBay hadn't, we didn't know what to do with this.
Right.
And I sat in many executive forums where we were trying to determine where was this thing going? And I can tell you, most of us got it wrong. We did not see what the internet was about to do to
You
us
couldn't
humans.
You couldn't have, because there was too many humans about to interact with it. So
Yeah.
no size think tank or group tank could have conceived. And that's the danger of some of our creations and the positives, isn't it? Because you're putting it out to a world of people that have got all different thoughts and inputs,
Mm.
and no think tank could have conceived of it. It is bigger than any bomb that has been ever created because
You said bomb,
yes,
because that was one of the discussions we had up in Breckenridge. I remember we were up there for this week-long executive summit. Um, wow. We didn't anticipate, no one could have anticipated a platform, a network, a neural network that was about to be imprinted with 1 billion souls. That is
yes,
a lot of fucking kinetic energy that did
without
not fucking
direction.
exist before this ability to gather this. And think about what we have done now. We have, oh, Jenny, you hit it perfectly. We created this conscious bomb
Yeah,
that is completely,
it
I think it's
split
tearing us apart
timelines.
as a species.
It is, and it split timelines.
Thank you,
And
darling. Thank you,
we've
sweetie. That was brilliant.
you're welcome, and we've spoken it before. And I was
Checks in the
speaking to
mail.
my daughter the other
Like,
day about it, and it said, it's like this, and I said the word, it is this collective bomb that was put out there, and nobody could have ever predicted one way or the other of the implications of that, because nobody can be that many souls, nobody can be that many mindsets, nobody can see that many different cultures and whatnot. So but then we've got people in Africa, young boys who have built internet for free, just collecting it from the ethers, putting things together, to get it for the village. And you realize, so it's been monopolized by a small amount of people that now have the tethers and the whip to the chariots of many souls. They whip people into action this way and that way, and you've seen it on UK streets recently. That was all a whipping up, because when the organic came out, there was so many people against any racism that just stood there singing. It literally put a damp cloth over all of it very, very quickly. So the organic was very different to what the headlines and the whippings from the internet were saying. But that's when you go back to what you said before about music and technology giving us this ability to have this music be showcased and be felt by everybody. But it feels great, it feels wonderful, but there's also, and it's not better or worse, nothing better than being in a circle of people with the same resonance of spirit, stomping on the ground, feeling the worms vibrate under you, feeling the trees reverberate. And of course, the trees were the original internet. No human can whip and control the trees into any kind of division or savagery or anything like that. So the internet that we did have and that we were connected to was very much more pure. What we've done is we've taken the tree blueprint, put it out there without thinking, and not given any education to people as to what this does to your brain waves, what this does to your attention levels. With no education that way is being given, because on the way they have figured out that we don't want them to know that, because we can
do you
use
know
all of
why we
that.
have the internet today?
Why?
Pornography. If it
Yeah,
was not for pornography, we would not have the internet. In fact,
brutal
if it
thing.
wasn't for pornography, we wouldn't have VHS. We wouldn't have what we have. And that's the weird thing. It existed for decades, and it was basically something that became more the universities. There were technology companies, but as the general population was concerned, it really wasn't out there. But what happened was that when the pornography industry picked it up, they now found a new distribution channel. And it was through that channel, that opening, that spread this internet which we have today.
And they gave that brutal sex magic out for free.
So you think about that. Now, I look at it from a spiritual aspect. So we know where sex is concerned, there is always the occult, there's religion. There is something that these spirits find very attractive to that. So that opened to me, and it's just a hypothesis out there, but as I have seen it and lived it, it opened a portal that we've never been able to shut. And it hasn't.
No.
No.
Anyway, for what it's worth, it's the facts. I mean, it really is. It's a strange reality that we live in.
It's something that needs to be contemplated much more seriously
You would
going forward.
think.
Um, especially down to giving the children the power as far as it goes, because I feel I've been trying to catch up as far as internet safety and whatnot over the last few years with the boys, realizing that you don't leave your kid in the park overnight. Like you wouldn't, as a mother, you wouldn't just say bye, I'll be back for you in the morning, and leave them at night where the beautiful park is lovely during the day, but you're not going to leave them there in the middle of the night. And Theo snuck up just last night actually and got his headset again so that he could game in silence, after bedtime. So I caught him because he's super loud with his feet. And when he games, he makes a noise with his. He always drops
Oh,
himself
I
in
love
it.
that.
But I had to catch him a few times because he was so eager to finish this game that he was doing with his online little group. Um, and I
Is
realized I
this an
said,
interactive game?
yeah. And it's as close as
Okay,
some of I know
okay.
his friends, but they're Canadian, you see, so they're on a different time zone and some are American. So he does miss out a little bit, but he's allowed to play with them because I've heard their mummies in the background before and we know they're safe. So, but he's not allowed to play at that time. But he thought I'll do it in silence, but his feet betray him every time. So I came up a few times to say, Theodore, no. Um, but I realized I said to him those words. I said, I wouldn't leave you in a dark park overnight, Theo, and I want to go to sleep. So I can't go to sleep knowing that you're in a worldwide park, Theo, in the
Yeah.
dark, And he was like, oh, he didn't get it at all. I thought it was a profound thing to say, but he did not. But I'd already taken his headset from him at that point, so he wasn't going to like me very much anyway. But yeah, that's like we've walked into this sleeping, me included, for too long before I've cottoned on to the fact that, whoa, they're not educating us on this, on what it does to children's brains deliberately,
So what does his
So
feet do? Because that when you said
his
that,
body does the movement. So when he's
yeah,
running,
so it's
he
really
runs like
connected into the
this.
whole
Oh,
neural.
yeah. And when he's driving, he does
Wow.
this. Like when
Yeah.
he's turning, he does this when he's driving. And his whole
Mm.
body reacts to the whatever he's doing on screen.
Well,
So when
they
he's
found that in science. I mean, you can hook people up, athletes, and have them run their event and connect them all up to the sensors.
right,
And then you have them go and sit into a setting and relax and imagine the event in their mind. The whole body only has a less than 2% difference in the physical reactions in the body. So you're absolutely right. They're really playing the game. It's even though it's imagination, it's really happening in their body.
yeah,
Well,
oh
Really.
that's
yeah, he thinks it betrays him every time. He thinks he's so sleek at it, but it's not because as soon as he starts running in the game, his feet go, like Fred Flintstone with
Yeah.
the under the car. He's like that. And you hear his
uh,
seat going and squeaking. So he does betray himself, thank goodness. But yeah, we've slept walked into that conscious bomb that is ever unfolding and ever volatile. It's like a volcano. And the more and more we get away from the trees, and we get away from the fire outside to the heating that comes just through the pipes and through the wires, the more volatile we become spiritually, and the more things we'll say online that we wouldn't usually say face to face. But now we're seeing people, just like children do, like Trina said, and like the athletes, merging reality and the internet. So in the UK streets, you're seeing people say things that they wouldn't have dared say, but the internet gave them permission a week ago to say it. So now they're saying it on the streets. They're saying it to people face to face. I think because just like children, they've been imprinted that they don't really recognize when they're on the internet in a game and when they're in real life.
That sounds like possession to me.
Hmm.
When I grew up, I didn't have the internet, so I am glad we didn't have it when I was a teenager. I'm glad we didn't have it when I was in my 20s. I was glad we didn't have it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just I it in because we had to use our imagination. And now the imagination has been captured and is now being molded into it, and it's I guess Elon Musk sees it as the neural net, 2.0 is really where they say that the future of humanity will be living in.
Some, not all.
It's
Yeah,
it's
that,
we live in a
Mhm.
very strange time where you can't even believe what you're actually seeing.
Yes, that's
Can
done
I
on purpose. And you know what? The only reason you can't really believe what you're seeing, because you know that there's so much deception, and many of us are still having, reconnecting the intuition part of us. So the discernment, the feeling part that tells you truth from false. It's you
can I
feel it.
show you an example of how they're using magic in this
Yeah,
and framing a reality, which tells me I don't believe humans are behind this. There's something else.
I think you're
So
right.
this came out yesterday. Um, so do you see what I'm seeing? This is Air Force Two. You can see the crowds. This is Kamala Harris and her running mate. Looks real, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
Well, so do you know how come we know this is not real? But this is what
Wow.
was plastered all over the news, the 5:30 in the evening news last night. It's being used as a major campaign aspect of it, but this is deception. So if you look right here at the engine cowling here, guess
There's
what
a
you don't
hole.
see? No, you don't see no fucking people. Look at the belly of the aircraft. And if you can get really close into this, there are
yeah,
no people.
of course, yeah.
You see right here, this is the biggest
Wow, the
clue.
reflection. Yeah.
There's
Wow.
no people. This is all fake.
Yep.
Do you
You
know with
know,
Are y'all picking up on this?
they
How
had
what's
a
being done
rally.
here?
Yeah, they just had a rally in Arizona and they were doing the same thing, showing all the people there. And Wayne, that does not match the reality of the state. The parking lots are empty. I don't, I'm like, I think, wow, it's getting really
And
crazy.
those of you, you can go down, you can get this picture, you can actually, and then you can actually get closer in here. And as you look into here and into the reflection here, none of these people are here. No one. The only thing that we can see, it looks like it is what would either be considered a baggage cart that is sitting there. That's the only thing that could,
Yeah, I was gonna say
but there are no
with all
people.
the troubles that have
Huh?
gone on,
Mm.
with all of the troubles that have gone on here on the streets in the last week or so,
Yeah.
once these anti-racist marches were coming in their thousands against literally a handful of fascists, they quickly dispersed it. But they were still trying online, these different lobby groups, these different groups were still trying online to post to tell people to go to a certain location and fight for your country. So much so that the police went on social media to say, look, to show that all there were peaceful protesters singing and giving out food to say there is no trouble here. You'll be the only one coming if you come here for trouble. Don't be fooled what you read online. So that even the police were calling out the absolute, and this was from some big groups that should know better, in people's eyes. They should be more political. they weren't. They were encouraging this dogfighting to happen between humans, to go here and attack these people for your country. The police themselves decided to go to social media and say, the posts you're seeing of people fighting are fake. They're from another day. They are not from today. There is no fighting here. There is only the peaceful march here. And they were videoing these thousands of people just standing peacefully, holding space and time for love. And so the deception, even down to the police the other day, were calling out the deception online to try and save from
Yeah.
more.
Well, I think it takes on a magnitude, particularly where I see this as direct election interference. I mean, you're putting pictures that have been photoshopped and you're creating a false reality. And again, I question, so who's in control? I mean, and the vast majority of people who would look at that have paid it no mind and said, wow, I mean, and it then starts the imaging of a different reality that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And some people can say, well, this is just how politics works. But no, all politics is deception. But I look at it today, it's not just deception. If it's deception, then is it humans doing this or is it of another intelligence? And are we so simple-minded as a species that we are under control to do things that we know are not right or correct? I don't know.
I think it's obvious. I think it's both. I think
Yeah.
it's both.
And then, you think about this, and I look at the craziness that's going on in the world globally. So is it possible that there are, in fact, more spirits, as I pointed out yesterday? I was taught in my religion that, if you counted according to John the Revelator, that there is approximately 100 trillion angels that were created. And that if a third of them fell with, Satan, then that would mean that there are over 33 trillion fallen spirits here. Now, if you take the story of the fallen angels mating with the daughters of men, the giants, we read in the book of Enoch, we know that these spirits are still here. They're part of us and that they hate us. And so I see today where everyone's divided. There's very little unity. And I'm going, is this the influence of a species, a hybrid human soul, spirit, that has such a hatred for us that they would do anything to see us destroy ourselves?
I think
I
that's
mean,
what.
would they have a knowledge that the internet for them would not be anything new? I mean, they had knowledge passed on by their heritage, meaning aliens or fallen angels that had the knowledge of the universe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just and and then we get all riled up in, simple debates of, well, it's chocolate. Well, yeah. No, but it's dark chocolate. No, it's chocolate. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that it's been happening. That's why I think the whole hiding of the aliens is just because it's always been part of our reality, but only
Well, we
the
were talking
upper
about the reptiles before we
those
went.
those are part of the
Reptilians.
aliens. They say Draconian is off world as well as on world. So they say that's a pretty vast
So
empire.
do they rule us?
I think they have for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Bloodline thing that I was talking about. That's
Yeah,
that
there it
the
goes.
that link. And I think it's more that they don't want to weaken the link to what they've linked up to, i.e., the power source from themselves and from spirit or demonic or whatever it might be. They don't want to let go of it, and so they don't want to dilute it in any way on any level of alchemy, including blood, including DNA. And
You
so
know,
there's a very small pool that they'll marry in, especially in the UK, the royal family. It's a very strict small pool that they'll marry into, which is why the whole Meghan Markle is a whole debacle, you know, that they don't want that. So
Mm-mm. I
Well,
think
do we
it's
have free? What's that? What's that, Trina? Hon?
I think the whole reason they hate us is because we have something special and it's part of the soul. It's part of memory. And they utilize technology for these things because I don't think they have the ability. And I think that's why they're afraid of non-existing. And that's why they work on life extension, because I
Mhm.
don't know that they continue as we do, because we have multidimensional access as multidimensional beings. And they do have access to certain layers of the construct, but not the same ones that we do.
Can I
So,
inject in this?
yeah,
They're not, and this is just me. In my meditation, my guide tells me these beings, they're not alive and they're not dead.
I think you might be
And
right.
as I was shown, they exist in literally this realm. It's a trap. They can't get out. And they have direct connection to both the living and the dead, but they're neither.
That would be the definition of the neutral part of source, because we have anti-source, source, and then you have neutral source. That might be part of neutral
It's where
source.
they exist. And
Might be part, yeah.
they try to
Hmm.
pull us into that, but it's not how we are, but this is how it was shown to me. And so this is why I'm getting into this topic, because I think religion biased us in the understanding of what these beings are.
I think
And
I think they get us to feed the energy of these beings and they direct our
Yes,
focus
read
into
that.
these
Yeah,
energies. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's how we are controlled by them because we volunteer our worship and we volunteer our energy and we allow
yeah,
the connections and the hooks to come into the physical being through these energetic entities. And we get tricked through the inversion of it because we don't see the truth of what we're being led into. So it's a conundrum, but I think that's how many people have lost their full power because they've already attached to things outside of themselves that's siphoning all their soul essence from them. So
yeah.
it's
I
literally
think
like
that's
they're
why we have
utilizing it.
AI. I think that
Yeah.
I will be long gone when AI has its full effect on humanity.
Okay.
And I'm glad I'll be gone because
Yeah,
and maybe we if we connect the dots here, because what I see, it really is a battle for the soul. And they live in an existence that wasn't really initially created. And that's what makes it so foreign both to the angels and to humans, and even to God. He didn't have anything to do with it, but here they are. And I think
no,
that this is
I
what they
think
try to
that's
do
why
to us,
the
pull our
fright.
soul into that. Go ahead. What was that, Jenny?
Yeah, they're frightened to go out aside of this because when we said before they haven't got the power that I feel anyway in other spaces, they're frightened to go out of that space. And when we were
Well,
talking about the battery and the corrosive nature of it, I do believe it severs them from that self-source energy, that soul energy. So they do sacrifice the soul, they do sell their soul to this power being in this lifetime or this life path or this family line, and they want to stay in that because and the middle ground want them to stay in that too. The neutral source that Trina mentioned want them to stay in that too because that's their connection to having power over us in this realm that then conversely feeds them more energy because it's these powerful people, corporations and whatnot that feed us the adverts that then get us full of spirits that then open us up to those very types of energies to go to be passengers in our setting, in our creation, in our soul for a while. So if they don't want to go out, they're terrified. I do feel they're locked in here because the neutral
I
ground
think
that they
it's
fear.
I think it's a frequency cage. If you can't vibrate to certain
Like a
levels,
Faraday cage.
yeah, you can't reach
Yeah.
levels if you can't elevate your vibration. They say creation is a vibration of love. A love is the energy that is the desire to manifest anything out of anything. It's from a love, it's a passion. So if we can hold this love frequency, which gives us empathy, compassion, love one another as you'd love yourself, to be selfless instead of selfish. If you can't evolve into those higher frequencies, you can't exist on a planet that's evolving. And as this
Mm-hmm.
planet is evolving, their frequency will no longer match. So it's
Hmm.
going to dissolve, like Jenny's talking about the acids, because the frequencies won't hold it together any longer. So this shift is going to be rough because a lot of things will no longer be able to exist in the higher frequencies. And that is all totally about consciousness and what you feel about. And these things have a hard time feeling compassion because it's part of their genetic makeup. So with that, they're going to struggle through higher vibrational energies, hence why they hate you so much.
Well, and what if we pull further onto that? Because then it would become, you see, love is a I think it's a choice.
It's a
And
verb, not a noun.
it's yeah, it's a part of the fabric of who and what we are. But what if there were beings that were created without that frequency, that thread, which we call love? And to them, love would be a repulsive. It would be an acid. It would be something that would be harmful to them. I mean, what other answer can you get? Because love, I love with Mary wins. Mary, I got your package this morning, by the way, dear. Love always wins, but we also know love has a lot of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
see, I
then,
think it's sorry, go on, Wayne.
no, go ahead, hon.
A bit of buffering at my end, I think. The thing is, though, I think they do love because I've seen them love their young. Yeah, I've seen them love and protect their young, some of them. But also, I think it's a different type of love, isn't it? That love that we make as a choice, we often make it in, like Trina said, a completely selfless manner, in that it's just love. It is what it is, and we're projecting it out as it is without attachments or caveats or anchors or chains. And that love terrifies the very conformed, strict love. And it's because I feel like Trina said they haven't got as much freedom actually as we have, even though they're controlling our freedom a lot. They have got far less freedom to move, to speak, to be anything else other than the label that they've given that power to for themselves, that they've sold their soul to. We've got much more wiggle room in the spectrum of love, of how we show it, in the ways that we show it, they've got to stay within their confines very much so. Otherwise, they'll be displeasing one side and pleasing another, and they'll get themselves in sticky situations. So the love that we make as a choice that doesn't come without caveats is that real creational love, I think, that Trina spoke of, that frequency that they hate because they can't control that, because there's no caveats to it, there's no selfishness to it.
Yeah, but
Not just that, it's the strongest power of the universe. I mean, you see what laughter does, Wayne. You know, you've been under
yeah.
demonic present, and when you laugh, they go away. Those
Mhm.
frequencies literally hurt them. They literally cause them physical discomfort.
And think about this. Love, and I'll just speak straightforward on this. Love can become hate. Many people in relationships, they marry someone and they end up hating that person. Love was replaced
Mhm.
by, for whatever reason, which would say that love is not always permanent, that love is, it's fluid. it coalesces in different patterns. But the fact is, even if love turns to hate, the fact is that it was at one time love. And I often wonder if these spiritual beings, these other entities, if really and I'm just speaking this, that love, the love that we as humans perceive to be as love is foreign to them. They really don't understand it.
Yeah.
It seems that their love is love to control. It's
Maybe,
ultimately when you go to the
maybe.
highest level of
Yeah.
it, it's like they don't even want money anymore. All they want now is control
Your
and to
Yeah.
attention.
dominate.
Yeah.
Yes, and their love is a love of control. They want to control. So yes, they're going to love their children because they know their children will listen to them. That's a different kind of love that we have
Yeah.
for our children. So these are what I'm
And what
telling
if
you.
they interpret that not as love, Trina? What if they interpret it as a function of their existence? It's
It
their
is
offspring,
it is a function of their existence. It really is. You're spot on, Wayne.
Yeah.
Spot on. This is how they're built. So, like
Maybe
I
that's
said,
the mystery of us, is that we have
yeah,
this capacity for this love thing. And,
yes.
to a foreign species, because I don't think all species in the universe love. I
I
don't.
don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Maybe that's what makes us so fucking unique, that they won't leave us alone. They've got to
Yes.
dominate us.
And they want to blend with us. So they have
Yeah.
access to the stargates through the genetics. That's why the
Yeah.
blending is so important.
Robert
They
And
Scott
the,
want
says,
love.
watch Monsters Inc. Yeah.
the
Yeah, they want
stars
love too, I
don't
think.
get this much, do they, Trina? Do they over there? Because they don't here. The stars, like the Hollywood stars, they don't actually get pregnant themselves very much at all. They use a surrogate, or
You're right.
they
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
yeah, there's a huge number over here that they
Yeah.
use a surrogate. Unless they're in the royal family, it's a surrogate or an adoption. And
Yes.
they'll adopt many children,
Yes.
rather than one. So that's definitely a thing. I sometimes don't think they can conceive that type of love once they've sold that amount of soul, or they
Ginger
I
won't
says,
just,
see.
yeah.
for a strange, timid, tender cruelty is most often the anxious sister of love. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
Ladies, this has been a fabulous
Mm,
conversation. I've enjoyed it. And I, whether we ever can expose who's hiding behind the curtain, I think the curtain is getting tethered. I
it
think it's
is.
starting to get threadbare.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's supposed to, though. So I think that that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Trina.
Yeah. Time to see.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I have no doubt that as each week progresses, we're going to find ourselves in a and I'm not trying to be negative here, but it seems like things are getting set up to where it's at some point something is going to go wrong big time.
Oh yeah.
It's
I've got my
it's the
Stranger Things.
energy. The
Yeah.
It's definitely
frequency, this frequency, guys, we're shifting ages. I don't think we can even begin to totally fathom what this is all going to encompass, but it's going to be monumental and it's going to be a little challenging and scary at times, but not if you know that this is just temporary anyways. And no matter what, we're going to be okay because we're going to be okay after we drop our bodies. So it can be exciting if you look at it this way. We're here to see one of the biggest transitions Earth has ever seen. And it's because of the cycle. It's a clock and we're on that wheel. So here we go.
And Stephanie Marie, the reason why they're attracted to you is that because narcissists find empaths like the
Candy.
cocaine bear.
Yeah.
It's like once the bear got the cocaine, it's all over, man. I mean,
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes.
so all right, ladies, I just love this group. Thank you.
I love
It's
you all.
always an
Mhm.
honor just to be amongst such lights. That's all I got to say. And you two
Wonderful souls.
ladies are
Mm.
like two bright stars on a what I would call a winter's evening. It
Oh,
glistens, it twinkles, it shines, and then, just gives you that good vibe.
Yes. It
Hmm.
makes me feel happy. I love my Tuesdays.
I do too. I love it.
Uh, everyone, and I just love this group. Thank all of you. I seen Rick and El Gapo, Gaia. Much love to you, darling, and Robert Scott and so many elderberry. What's up, brother? Good to see you. So, ladies,
You
thank
know
you
what,
again.
Wayne? Can
What's
I
up,
just say
dear?
this really quick before
Sure.
we go? It's so on point. I wrote this, I don't know when. Consciousness evolution is when spirit has been disconnected from soul. The spirit is is the consciousness, but the soul helps you to remember. So if you lose soul connection, you can no longer remember. And that's probably why we have the amnesia. So soul means to remember, while spirit exists and can function in all personality reasons, but without the soul, there's a part that's missing. So I wonder if a lot of the damage that we have had was because we've had partially like a massive disconnection from soul is why we can't remember. And when we go into our inner universe, that's when you reconnect to your soul. And those are the higher dimensions. And those are, as most know that travel in their own body and being, discover they're connected to other planets, other realities, other existences. So this is the remembering and the reattaching, remembering of soul. And I think this is the key to our superpowers because the soul has memory and the memories are formed based on emotional charge. And most of them are from love or fear. Those are both power charges. So our essence is love and we have access to higher things through that love than a lot of the other things in the universe. So
And it very well
remember
could
what
be
you
that
are.
a spirit has no need for memory. Why
I
does
don't
a
think it
spirit
does.
need memory anyway? I exist, and really it
Yeah.
would be my soul who would remember because,
They show me that soul and spirit are companions.
yeah.
And when
Mhm.
you're in a body, they're supposed to be companions. So
Yeah.
that's the perfection of those two essences blending as they were supposed to be intended.
So if
But
a
we've been
spirit is separated from its
from
soul,
soul,
a
it doesn't
spirit
remember.
wouldn't need to have the memory because a spirit just is.
It doesn't
Well,
remember.
when you're in
Time
the
doesn't
physical
what doesn't
realm,
doesn't need to remember.
Yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't.
when you're in the
Just
physical realm, like Trina says, that sister energy, like they're like eyebrows, aren't they? They're sisters, not twins. In
mm,
that, you want your eyebrows to look like sisters. So they've got a symmetry that work together, but you do want that memory, like a memory soul in your shoe. You do want that memory when you're walking on this physical plane, because without that memory, you can be taken for granted by all powers that be around you. So that memory of the soul in this life does help your spirit walk this particular path, I think, like Trina says, the piggybacking and the sistering of those two energies of self, 100%.
yes. And what are they wanting right now? Everything right now, data, 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 which are our memories. They're trying to gather as many as they can.
Well, then
Absolutely.
that would be the implication that
Mhm.
something's coming to an end.
Yes,
Stay tuned,
yes,
folks.
right.
All right. Much love, everybody. We will see y'all again next week at the same time. And everyone in the chat room, thank you. Just love the comments in